to another video. Today I'm excited because I am starting the kitchen makeover. Now I want to begin in this room because it's the room that's still not functional yet. Like, we need a table and chairs in here. Eventually need more storage. I want to build this cute dining nook area. And that being said, the thing that I actually want to do first is change the floors, which is a little strange because it's none of the priorities I just mentioned. But in my mind, I know that I want the floors to be different in the final version of this kitchen. And so if I do the floors now, before I start adding all the extra furniture and built-in things, it'll make my life easier. So what I've done is I've picked up this peel and stick tile from Home Depot, and I'm very excited about it because when you line it all up, it looks like an antique French parquet floor, like something that you would see in a chateau. So let's get to it. That's it. Okay, only like 100 more? Oh my goodness, you guys, look at these! I got lucky on Facebook Marketplace. I have to say, I found a set of 6 antique bentwood chairs. Look at the pattern and detailing on them. I mean, it's just exquisite. And this table is definitely just a simple, country, rustic, primitive table. Now, here's what's great about it, the size. Here's my full plan, you guys. I'm revealing my full plan. Eventually, want to build a built-in bench situation lining this window and wall area. But the thing is, because this is kind of a tight space, I couldn't have a full-size table in here. But I found this one, which is the perfect size, a little small, but when it's just me and my husband, it'll be fine. And you guys, I think it looks so cute. I mean, the legs on this are insane. Now here's the deal. In its present state, this table would be an absolute nightmare to eat on with all of these holes, screws, and cracks. So while I give myself more time to figure out these floors, I think I'm going to start working on this table because it definitely needs it. Welcome to my workshop. I don't have a garage or a basement or a place that I can really get messy, all that sanding and stuff, so I decided to create it for myself. I did a version of this in my last apartment, but I have to say this one is upscale because I now have a zipper closure for a door, so I'm feeling pretty excited about that. But anywho, I decided to cover this table with epoxy. It felt like the easy choice since epoxy is gap filling, self-leveling, and critically for a kitchen table, easy to clean and maintain. And as much as it made me sad to cover up this wood, I knew that it was a great way for me to still be able to see the wood and all its rustic charm underneath, since epoxy is clear. Now the way epoxy works, especially when covering old wood with a bunch of holes like this, is you want to do 1 or maybe 2 coats where you just try to fill all the holes and then go over later with a flood coat to get a perfectly flat and even surface. And again, epoxy is self-leveling, so it'll do it all for you. So I knew this coat wasn't going to look perfect, but my goal was still to fill as many of the holes as I could, and in particular, the large crack that ran down the center. After giving it some time, I realized I did want to continue laying down the floors. Of course, sometimes it's hard to know if you really like something till you're finished with it, and that'll be the case here. But I decided to trust myself and specifically trust the mood board I'd created for this kitchen. Actually, I felt like the lesson I learned here was the importance of creating a plan and using it as your guide throughout the rest of the project. In real life, it's taken me about a week because all of those precise cuts for the edges took me a while. I think if you have a simpler shaped space, it might not be as bad. but I basically had no right angles to work with. I mean, this place is gorgeous, but these old homes, man, no straight edges to be found. Anyways, the last section I have to do is this little inlet in the fireplace. And I had this idea of making a border because in a lot of wood parquet flooring, there is actually a border that goes around the entire room. But of course, I'm using peel and stick and not real wood. And so there's not really a great option to make a border, but I thought I could cut the diagonal cross section out of one of these tiles and use these to make a border. So that's what I'm gonna try. And it's not gonna be around the entire room, obviously, but I think adding this even just in the fireplace is gonna add a really nice finishing detail. So hopefully it turns out okay.
Sorry to scare you.
Okay, so I was struggling to fill the crack in the center of the table. None of my contraptions had been holding up. The first time I tried this, I had lined the bottom and sides of the table with packing tape because epoxy happens to not stick to packing tape. But the epoxy completely wore through that, and I ended up with a big puddle of epoxy on the floor shortly after filming this. So I thought, aha, let's add duct tape because duct tape is strong. Wrong. It is, but apparently epoxy can wear through the adhesive, at least when it's sticking to wood. Now this wasn't just a problem because the gap was not getting filled. It was a problem because I was now beginning to run out of epoxy, and I desperately needed enough for the final flood coat. And if you don't have enough, the epoxy won't be able to drip over the edges and completely level itself out. So I did research and I went to the hardware store and I came back with sheathing tape, which as I now know is water resistant. This time it actually worked. Well, the tape part. There happened to be a conniving hole in the wood, which was all the epoxy was looking for to completely drain out again. But patching one hole was suddenly doable. Thankfully, this time it all worked. And I also managed to get the final flood coat in, though with slightly less epoxy than desirable, so the surface didn't exactly end up perfect. But as you'll see the table turn out in the end, I actually kind of like it. I think it adds to the ever-growing list of imperfections this table has. Now once I'd recovered from all of that, I peeled the tape off and sanded the table down. I did this for two reasons. I don't like the texture of cured epoxy untreated. To me it feels almost perpetually sticky. And second, it cures with a really high gloss finish, and I didn't want that on a rustic wood table. Sanding it would cure both of my issues. Then, after sanding it down, I sealed it with a coat of polyurethane and let it dry.
Guess what time it is? It is time to put the table and chairs in the kitchen, so I'm gonna get to it right now. Before I show you though, I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a like and comment down below. I always love reading your guys' comments. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at how this kitchen's turning out. I am so excited. I feel like it's so cute already. And to think, this is just the start. First, I love the floors. I was actually surprised at how much just changing the color of the floors in here brightened up this room. I mean, we went from needing lights turned on in here in the afternoon to have that sort of be an optional thing because there's just enough light now bouncing around this room. I think that's incredible. Another thing I love about this whole combination is that the floors are more formal, right? They're more of this French chateau vibe, whereas the table and chairs are much more rustic country, and I love the contrast between that. I think that's such a fun play, and I'm super excited the more I make over this room to continue that vein of sort of mixing with different patterns and colors and different styles and vibes, because I think that just makes a room really, really pop when you're mixing everything together. So then I've got to talk about these chairs because I don't think I've talked about them enough. They are beautiful. They are more beautiful in person, I think, than on camera, which is a shame, but sometimes that's how things are. The fact of the matter is these are, legitimately 100 years old chairs, and you can see the wear and tear in them, and that authenticity is something you just can't buy and replicate. I mean, you can buy bentwood chairs, but they're mostly made of plastic now these days, and these are real wood, and that just makes my heart happy. And then, of course, I'm really excited about this table. I love how you can still see all the knots and the quirks of this table, but you guys, it's gonna be the easiest thing to clean and maintain. So I feel like we're off to such a great start, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye guys. Just a catastrophe. What can I say? I was trying to stop the hemorrhaging of the epoxy dripping down the table, and I stuck a paper towel up in the table, and now I can't get it out. I don't think it's great that there is a paper towel glued to the bottom of my table, but if we just don't talk about it, then no one knows, right? So yeah, so we're just not gonna talk about it.